It's Monday, the 23rd of October. First, we go to Sierra Leone. Political leaders have taken a significant step to resolving post-electoral tensions in Sierra Leone. The opposition All People's Congress had refused to take up their seats in parliament after elections in June. They also refused to take up positions in the local councils that they'd won, saying there were major electoral irregularities. They demanded a rerun and that the head of the electoral body be fired, among other things. Tensions mounted, and so did concerns that things might boil over into violence. The African Union and the regional body ECOWAS stepped in, and voila, an historic agreement to end the boycott and ease the tensions. Umaru Fofana has been across the story and he's been filling me in from Freetown.
The three-day talks, which were facilitated by the country's Peace Commission with mediators from ECOWAS, the African Union and the Commonwealth, reached broad 8-point agreements. They include for the main opposition APC party to take up their seats in parliament and at local councils, which should happen next week at the latest, I'm informed. The APC party won 40% of the seats in the House and the vast majority of the council seats in the north and in the west of the country. But since the polls in June, they have not been attending sittings in either parliament or at local council level. So those seats have gone unoccupied with these elected officials not even having taken the oath of office, barring two of their MPs who defied the party line. The agreement also states that the president should address the nation on the need for dialogue, cohesion and peace. Under the terms of the agreement also, Audrey, people serving prison terms or facing trial relating to electoral violence or civil protests should be set free or their charges be dropped. So the APC had also asked that their MPs be paid backlog salaries for those months that they've been on the boycott.
It sounds quite comprehensive, but I'm wondering, did both the parties get what they wanted?
Well, the government and the opposition have both reacted favorably to the agreement, saying that it's a watershed moment for the country. The leader of the government's delegation to the talks is the country's chief minister, Dr. David Moninasenge, and this is what he told me.
The main elements of it was that the APC party will participate again in governance. Government will seek to make sure that all the allegations around whether it's people who have been inciting violence or people who think they didn't have access to justice, we will look into all of those cases. We'll work with all the parties to ensure that we're able to be better informed as government and to make the appropriate interventions. It was also important for the parties to agree that we need a lot more intra-party dialogue. Dialogue is a core part to where our democracy has been. And we shouldn't just do it leading up to an election or after an election, but we should always be talking.
One of the main demands of the main opposition APC party was for the publication of the disaggregated election results. What happened to that? It wasn't captured, was it?
Well, I think in the beginning, I spoke about how everybody has these disaggregated polling station results. Those are what the forms are that everybody signed up for. We have ours, they have theirs, the Electoral Commission has theirs. I think what they were asking for, they could ask the Electoral Commission for. As we said, government does not mandate or tell the Electoral Commission what to do. But most importantly, the only entity that could tell the Electoral Commission what to do is the Supreme Court. It's not the president, it's not the government, and it certainly is not the opposition.
That's Sierra Leone's Chief Minister David Moninasenge. Umaru, speaking of the opposition, I'm wondering, are they as upbeat as the Chief Minister sounds?
Well, interestingly, yes. Even though there have been criticisms from some of their supporters who've called the agreement a sellout, the APC party leaders have played it up. They've really played up the outcome, calling it a success. Dr. Samora Kamara, the party's presidential candidate in the last two elections and leader of the delegation, gave me his own reaction.
I think the dialogue itself was of a historical nature. So was the agreement. I appreciate the effort of mediators and also the willingness of the two parties to actually engage one another on a dialogue like this.
What would you say changed that made you reach an agreement that made you, for example, allow your elected members of parliament and councillors to return? What exactly did the government give in that made you accede to that?
It was not a winner or a loser type of event. What was good about it was the approach taken by the mediators, the former vice president of the Gambia and a retired judge from Kenya. At the very outset, they did indicate to us that they had no legal mandate to adjudicate on it was a runoff or to adjudicate on who won or who lost the elections. So it was not their mandate. What they wanted was to start a roadmap that begins with peace among the party leadership. And honestly, I think that was the critical issue in Sierra Leone and politics.
Do you understand why some of your party supporters, some of your supporters have been critical of the agreement and have even been scolding you and excoriating you on social media? Do you understand that?
I do understand that. I don't blame them, simply because we never had the opportunity to explain what the dialogue agreement means, what the dialogue itself meant to them. But now, having been explaining, they're beginning to understand that this dialogue is a win-win. It's not a winner takes all or a loser loses all.
Umaru, we know that the boycott meant that no opposition MPs were in parliament and local councils won by the APC were not functioning. So just how did it affect governance in the country? And tell us a little bit more about people's reaction as well to the agreement.
Well, it did affect governance significantly, Audrey. I mean, for example, local councils which deliver services at the local level were not functional, with only ruling party MPs discussing government agenda in parliament. Debates were predictably boring, one-sided, and some would say not truly accountable. It has also hung a cloud of uncertainty and fear of the unknown. Tension has been mounting here, Audrey, since the elections in June, in a country whose elections, have come to represent a vortex of polarization. So there is hardly any real dialogue between these two parties, the APC and the SLPP, and there has hardly ever been, regardless of which party has been in power. Generally, people have welcomed the agreement, saying that it's a step that should end the political impasse, and there will be a lot more debate and a lot more accountability now demanded from government by the main opposition. And it's got to be said that the main opposition had actually wanted their backlog paid. That is, the last 3 months that Parliament has been in session for. But that was criticized by the public, who said that they were not even sworn-in MPs, therefore they shouldn't be paid money, let alone to be paid what they never worked for.
That's Umaru Fofana in Freetown.